How they hangin' dino dudes? It's me, the VHS Velociraptor, and welcome back to Marvel May 4 Infinity Gauntlet. Today, we're gonna check out the sequel to the movie I reviewed, either an episode or 2 episodes or whenever I reviewed it. Because if you remember I reviewed Blade 2, there was one other movie, the 2004 sequel to Blade 2, Blade Trinity. Honestly, I'm kind of annoyed by that title in a weird way because it's annoying when a movie goes like, first movie, second movie, then they change it goes like, okay, sorry about that. What I don't like when movies do this is when they go like Predator, Predator 2, then Predators, not Alien, not Predator 3. Like Alien did it, Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection. However, I'm kind of willing to give Blade Trinity a bit more of a break on that because Trinity technically means 3. And I get that's kind of a stylistic way of writing the 3, so you don't have to deal with like Blade 3 Trinity. I'll give it props that it is actually kind of creative compared to some other ways I've heard of doing it, instead of like Madagascar Escape to Africa and stuff like that. But yeah, honestly, going into this movie, when I popped it in, I had heard nothing but absolute garbage about it. I had heard it was boring, it was stupid, it was borderline unwatchable, and that it is honestly one of the worst movies Marvel has ever made, even compared to things such as Howard the Duck. I'm in the minority once again on this, and I think this might surprise some people, but I enjoyed it. I dare even say I think Blade Trinity is better than Blade 2. Yeah, I think that. And I can kind of explain why. First of all, it's my opinion, so up yours if you think I'm wrong on that. But in all seriousness, what I complained about in Blade 2, one of my minor problems with it, and kind of my biggest issue with the movie, was Blade didn't really seem to have a lot to do. It was much more, there were so many characters that they were constantly trying to develop and give screen time and make them memorable that Blade kind of just sort of stood in the background almost in most scenes, killing people and being cool, but not really, the movie wasn't focused on him. Blade Trinity? Well, there's technically the Trinity of Blade, Abigail, and Hannibal, but Blade is definitely the main focus once again. Not only that, they completely kind of uprooted the whole idea of the last movie, trying to make super vampires. They're kind of doing it again, but they did some interesting twists to it. They brought in, well, Dracula, who is apparently the first vampire from like over 8,000 years ago. That's cool. I always knew Dracula as, well, the main vampire, because like he was the first majorly popular vampire, but what if he was the first one? And what if he didn't just exist in Bram Stoker's story, but what if he existed long before it? That's cool. The mythology they built is really cool. And shockingly, I did not mention this last time when I reviewed Blade 2, or however long ago it was. I am filming these reviews back to back, so continuity, hey, I don't really care. I know barely anything about Blade, like comic-wise. I have close to, I'd have to guess, 200 comics at this point. I think 4 I can think off the top of my head actually feature Blade. And I can only name 2 of them. One of them being, actually no, I think it might only be one. One of them being a Deadpool comic when they did this really stupid 8-part crossover across like 8 comics, which I didn't bother buying all of them because I didn't want to waste my money on it because it wasn't that good. Where when Deadpool got married, this was the really time when Deadpool comics kind of sucked. When he got married and all the demons came to Earth, Blade was there for like the 2 issues, and I think that's the only comics I have that actually feature him prominently. I think I have like a Doctor Strange Deadpool comic that he does also appear in. But that is also something to be said about the current state of Marvel Comics. Blade is not a very prominent character. I don't think, and I could be wrong on this, I don't think he has his own series currently. Yes, he appears in Spirits of Vengeance. From what I've read, that's an awesome series because that's Ghost Rider, Blade, and whoever the other 2 are, kicking ass and being awesome. That's a cool idea, but I don't think Blade has his own current series in the comics. So, forgive me if you're a big Blade fan and this movie kind of gave the middle finger to him somehow, let me know, because I don't know a lot about the character. But do I want to go read the comics now? Definitely. Did I enjoy Blade Trinity? Definitely. Is there problems? Yes. Let's talk about them. First of all, most of these characters are well developed and rather likable, but at the same time, they try to kind of get you emotionally invested in some characters. Like, they try to get you to really care about these new characters, or really care about what they've been through and like why they're doing this and how they're gonna fight to the death to make sure Dracula doesn't take over the world or whatever his plan was. The bad guys didn't have a plan. I'll get to that in a minute. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be emotionally invested. You will be invested because the movie is interesting and it does pull you in, but you're not going to be like, oh no, if this character dies, it's going to be so sad. And honestly, I think that's just fine, and they kind of left it with, yeah, you're not going to be emotionally invested, but you will enjoy the movie. You will like these characters. You don't want them dead, but they're certainly not like the ending to Infinity War or anything. Also, I just mentioned this, the bad guys don't really have a plan. Yes, they go and try and find Dracula. And this is kind of a spoiler, but once again, this movie is 14 years old, so if you haven't seen it by now, I'd recommend it, but this isn't really much of a spoiler. It's also kind of is, kind of isn't, so mute it for 10 seconds, I guess. They're kidnapping homeless people to harvest blood, because they figure, why kill people when you can keep them alive and let them heal and just keep harvesting blood? Like, that's a cool, unique idea. That could have been the entire plot. And they said they brought back Dracula because they wanted to create more daywalkers, and they think somehow Dracula, because he's immune to like sunlight and all that, he is the one who can help them with that. Cool. They just don't seem to have much of a plan outside of that. Okay, spoilers are over. Anyhow, but back as when I was talking about the characters, you might not get emotionally invested, but they are good characters. They are actually enjoyable characters. Blade is still awesome. Abigail is a really good character. She kind of reminds me of Hanzo a bit, even in the sense like she has a bow and arrow and she can shoot things off walls. The bad guys are all comedically evil. Like, they're pretty much like a very dark, twisted Saturday morning cartoon villain, if they were allowed to swear and torture and kill and threaten to murder children. Yeah, and of course, I kind of want to say the best for last, Hannibal. He's played by Ryan Reynolds, so you know he's gonna have charisma. But this guy steals the show sometimes. Not only is he kind of the comic relief without being like just comic relief, he has some of the best lines. He's kind of the straight man in the whole sense, like the guy you would relate with, because he's like, what even is our life right now? Like, he's a good character. He's a good balance to Blade, who is usually quiet, doesn't make a lot of one-liners, surprisingly, and that's what I kind of like about him, is the fact that he's able to be cool, to be a badass without having to make one-liners every 10 seconds. And when he does make a one-liner, it's pretty awesome. Also, speaking of one-liners, juggling thunder is probably the greatest insult I have ever heard in film. And yes, I did censor that because I am not letting you guys hear that uncensored. This movie is rated R for a reason, people. Although, it would probably be rated only like 14A today because of the language, mainly. So yeah, all the characters are decent. The plot is kind of there. Like, they have interesting ideas, but it's a 2 hour, 3-minute movie before when the credits roll. It's about 1 hour and 55 minutes. They could have probably cut out maybe 20 minutes altogether, or 20 to 30 minutes, kind of make the plot a bit tighter, and then it would have been that much better. Granted, you're not bored during the movie, but at the same time, there are scenes when you'll check your phone or go to get a drink or something. Like, you won't be watching every single scene, unless they're the action sequences, because those are amazing. I'll get to why in a minute. Oh yeah, one thing I did want to mention, and this is the kind of stuff I love in movies, is messing with what is a currently established sort of mythos. Like I said, they bring Dracula back to life, and there's a scene where he essentially walks into what's the equivalent of a Hot Topic, selling vampire merchandise. And it's the traditional, like, Boris Karloff-looking vampire, Bela Lugosi-looking Dracula character. It is really funny, because he's just kind of like, what the actual is this? Like, you can tell he's like, you've got to be kidding me. This is what they've done to me? And it's funny, it's creative, and it's really clever. Also, they started using vampire DNA and mixing it around with other creatures. So there's remember how in Blade 2 they had those weird, like vampires with the weird mouths? There's a Pomeranian that has that now. And there's a scene that made me laugh outright featuring Ryan Reynolds and that dog. I'm not going to spoil it, but I laughed outright, like just laughed out loud for a good 5 seconds at it. It is genuinely funny. And that's something else this movie has, is some good comedy. It is not a comedy at all, but it does have enough comic relief or comedic moments to kind of make you laugh or smile. And the acting? Mixed bag this time. Once again, Wesley Snipes, great as Blade. Ryan Reynolds, great as Hannibal. Jessica Biel, great as Abigail. All the villains, they're played off with this kind of cheese to them, kind of like what you would see in like Hobo with a Shotgun or something like that. They're all kind of really hammy actors, but they make it work because, you know, they're still threatening and they're still imposing. It's still good actors, but they also are kind of cheesy. The weird thing is, Chris Christopherson. Sorry, I don't know why I said Forrest Whitaker. Whistler. I don't know what happened. Like, maybe they ended up using the wrong take or something. He does not care in this movie. Like, the first dozen scenes he's in, he just does not care. His voice has no emotion. He's like, I didn't want this to happen to you, Blade. You're my family. You're like my son. And the thing is, for the past 2 movies, he did great. What happened? Was it just a bad take, a bad day? Did they screw up on the editing and accidentally put the wrong scene in? I don't know, but it does take you out. And some of the other side actors really are not that great. But a plus, and this guy is always a bonus, Patton Oswalt is in this movie. And anything he's in is awesome. You want to know what else he's been in that's awesome? Happy and the MST3K reboot. 2 of my favorite shows currently, and he's in them. And he's still great in Blade Trinity. Ryan Reynolds is great. Wesley Snipes is still pulling off the whole very straight-faced, calm, quiet, yet totally 100% action hero character. And what about the effects? It's been 2 years since Blade 2, so have the effects improved at all? Yes and no. They have improved since Blade 2, but in 14 years they still look pretty bad. Granted, they do look a bit more realistic. The costumes still look great. Dracula's sort of body armor, it reminds me, it looks more like Shao Kahn than Shao Kahn did in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Not that I've seen that movie yet, or it's going to be like a special anniversary episode or something that I've already pre-recorded. No, I don't know why you'd think that. But yeah, it looks great. The action scenes are still awesome. There's a lot more unique fighting. Like, they use swords, but they also use like a silver boomerang, which he literally throws from the ground, goes all the way around up, goes up the stairs, and then down a slight hall like a catwalk above him, kills like 20 people, and then he catches it. It's just cool. And there's still a lot of like early 2000s action stuff, like the slow-mo, jumping over cars, Matrix-style karate fights. And yeah, like when they shoot the vampires with silver or stab them with silver or use like the wrist gauntlets with silver, which is a cool idea, and they disintegrate, it does look cool, but at the same time, it still does look rather dated, to be honest. But if you can look past that, it's still quite entertaining. You know what else is better? The music. I commented in Blade 2 how it was very much like atmospheric but not very memorable because there wasn't much to remember. This totally changes that. Not only is once again the theme song, like the opening title credits, awesome, but the whole score is great. It's action-packed, energetic, the end credits song is awesome and catchy. And you know what? I don't know why movies stopped doing this, but I miss these cool opening credits where like an action scene is going on, there's like a freeze frame and like red comes around and like the name or the title shows up, and they go through like, the actors and stuff like that. I miss when movies did that. We should do that more often. Not for every movie, but some movies should. Yeah, so when it comes down to it, can I recommend Blade Trinity? Yes, I'm giving it, surprisingly, and you guys might be shocked by this, 3 raptor claws out of 4. It's fun, action-packed, entertaining, It does have a lot of issues that do certainly keep it from being a fantastic movie, but it is not nearly as bad as everyone tries to make it out to be. I don't know why everyone hates it so much. The thing is, though, I will say the movie does have a very much a direct-to-video quality, and I know this movie was released in theaters. Perhaps if it was released direct-to-video, it may have been treated a little nicer. But, to end the Blade trilogy, or the Blade Trinity of films, sorry, I couldn't resist that joke, it's a fairly competent movie. Do I think we need a new Blade movie or a Netflix series? Yes. Look at it. The Punisher has made a massive comeback. Daredevil made a massive comeback. Ghost Rider is now 100% badass on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Why not Blade? Get Wesley Snipes back if he'll do it, or get him to be the new Whistler. I think Blade should make a comeback in today's modern age in either a Netflix show or a new movie. If you guys think so as well, comment down below what you would want to see in a new Blade movie or Netflix show, because I think there is so much they can do with it. There is so much creativity they can draw from, and there's probably a ton of awesome comics you can draw from as well. Both literally and figuratively, if you know what I mean. But anyhow, you guys, until next time, this has been the VHS Velociraptor saying be kind and rewind, and I'll see all you dino dudes around. Later.